Good morning, everybody. I'm back. I know it's so selfish to just keep going away all the time, but I'm back this time. So we're going to have a bit of an overview of the market, and I'm going to do a very in-depth live stream. Probably, maybe even start it a bit earlier because I've got a lot of streaming to do tonight. So if you want to join the Patreon, there's a link in the description below. Tonight's live stream will be, I imagine, quite long. I've been taking requests all week because I couldn't do the one in the week, and because I was in Spain. Right. So we'll start with Bitcoin because we haven't looked at anything properly in a while. So Bitcoin on the weekly, we'll start on the weekly and work our way down. So the weekly trend signal is still in play. The fact that we've come down this week and we can close here, we can even close down here, is a good thing. If we'd have closed down at this price action, again we haven't closed yet. This isn't a close. We're bouncing off the 10 exponential at the moment on the weekly. But if we'd have closed this cheeky span inside the price over here, that would have cancelled out the trend signal on the weekly. But the weekly trend signal is still in play, and that's what I like. We're bouncing on a 10 exponential, as I said, which is also this horizontal area of significance. And if we drop ourselves down a time frame, we will see that we're still more or less surfing across the top of these horizontals, but we've got the golden crosses at the 90s as well, which is where the lowest area on the weekly would be. One drive. Hidden bullish divergence on the RSI. That'll count for something. Might not count for everything, but it counts for something at the moment. I'm not saying that this is exactly where we're going to bounce. It'll be a risky trade, to be fair, especially with everything that's going on in the world today. Yeah, bounce nonetheless has already started to take place from here. But, you don't really want to call that a bounce. I mean, you could call it a bounce. Anyway, Sundays are usually rubbish days for any kind of movement. 3 drives, regular bullish divergence, cancelled out unfortunately at this point, but the Moneyflow index has the higher lows. So on the 4 hour there's opportunity for a bounce. However, losing all moving averages at this stage, not a good look. So the 4 hourly gets a bit of a mixed signal, changing of momentum, usually good for spotting kind of at least lows of some form, but losing all more moving averages and not having any moving averages as support, not a good look. So the weekly is really where we can reflect and go, all right, the weekly's got it. The weekly has something here that I quite like the look of. The daily, also, but the weekly mostly. The weekly is the focus, and I suppose this has been the case for quite a while now, especially since we got the signal over here. Let's have a look at our friend Ethereum then. So Ethereum is still supported on the center of a Bollinger Band. That's where we come down to this week. So we came from the top of the box, big resistance, back down to major support, which still, again, for most people, looks terrible. But this is a low, this is a high, this is a higher low, potentially. If we bounce from here, it would be one of those structures that you'd look back on and go, well, actually, of course, you're more likely to bounce around here. In fact, maybe even form a significant low around here and then trend our way back up to a new local high. Higher highs, higher lows. So there's your low, there's your high, potentially the higher low. And again, say potentially, there's no guarantees. This is trading, obviously. This is all, statistics. But, the Bollinger Band would tell you, as would the Golden Cross would tell you, to which we have both, that you're more likely to remain above here by 65%. And then this is what the weekly says. So the weekly is okay for even Ethereum. And so with that, you probably transfer that information over to the other things. Now, unfortunately for the total 2, kind of lost it a little bit here now. And we've still got time to perk our way back up, but if we close down here, it doesn't look very good at all. Does not look good, but this was never the greatest setup. Bear in mind that we have Ethereum and all the other altcoins dragging us down, and with all the other things that are going on in the world, maybe this chart is not indestructible. It's one of those things, isn't it? Really, you can trade all you like, you can focus on the charts all you like, but if the landscape, the environment, the trading environment that I always speak of, is shaky, well, so are your supports, and so we're losing it here, unfortunately. We are losing it a little bit. Now, the next thing to look at would be the Bitcoin dominance. Now that is rocketed up, and if we're lucky, we'll get a new local high on this at the same time of getting bearish divergence on your Moneyflow index. A single big drive of that should be enough to start to think about potential tops on this one. Well, we think about tops all the time, don't we? But we know that it doesn't. The Moneyflow index doesn't like being outside the comfort zone at all. It was outside over here, bang, didn't like it. Didn't like it over here, bang, all the way down. Didn't like it over here, had a nice reaction, and even at this level, when it got particularly hot, it came down as well. Now it's at the top of the comfort zone, or the discomfort zone, with bearish divergence on the brink of confirming. It does seem strange to assume that this could happen, but it's still a reasonable expectation. I have to say, I'm not making it up. It's still a reasonable expectation that that is how we're going to go. It's just hard to imagine it, but it was also hard to imagine it when we were all the way up here. Altcoins were at serious lows. The entire 2019 to 2020, well, almost basically 2021. Prices had gone back down to where they'd started from for most altcoins. There was only a handful that hadn't. It seems reminiscent of today's price action. Let's have a quick look at XRP and see what's going on over here. So rejection on the center of a Bollinger Band. Okay, it's not a great look there for immediate continuation. We're all about the $2.50 area. That's what we want to see, because we broke out the money flow, broke out momentum. We haven't broke out a price action. With every droopy day, the resistance gets lower. We can say that a close above $2.31 might do it, because that would be above all moving averages at that point on the weekly. But then above 250, that's where we get really bullish. We've been like this for months now. We've been talking about this for months. So as soon as we broke out from Moneyflow back in April, momentum, and then Moneyflow in May, all we need is price action breakout for decent continuation to new all-time highs. I know what it sounds like. I do. I know what it sounds like. It sounds unrealistic, unachievable, but it is the situation that we're looking at there. But again, you're not bullish on it until you're above here and here. We've got a setup that could really launch this one pretty high, but price action. Momentum, money flow, not price action. So that is that, and that is that. There isn't a great deal more I can say at this point. So we closed the weeklies like this. Still good for Bitcoin, good for Ethereum. XRP not so much, Total 2 not so much. And Bitcoin dominance, giving ideas of a top. So, that's all I can say about the situation. There's not much more I can say. Sundays is usually pretty lame. Again, the trading environment, the landscape around us is not suitable for immediate continuation, I would say. But supports are, at least for Bitcoin and for Ethereum. And those are the two big boys. What are stocks going to do tomorrow? What the hell are stocks going to do tomorrow? I have no idea, but, what are we looking at? I have no idea. It's going to be a weird week, to say the least. But that's where we are. So, you could think about these areas right now as areas for longs, with tight stop losses, obviously, because they are at supports. With Bitcoin and Ethereum both being at weekly support, sometimes you could think about a low leveraged position, in the hope that this is a serious low, the higher low that goes to the higher high. That's the reality of it. But you also got to keep one eye and one ear to the ground on the news for what it's worth, to see what the hell is going to happen next. Right, I'm going to leave it with you there. Nothing much more to say, but I will be looking at all the altcoins you want me to tonight on the Patreon live stream. So join that with the link. Other than that, hope you have a nice day and take it easy.